Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Giving all praise, honor, glory, exaltation to he who lives forever, the Lord of hosts by name. Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilateka. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall declare thy praise. Giving all praise, honor, glory, and exaltation to the King of the universe, he who lives forever. We bless and thank his name, showing due respect to the Chief Rabbi Caper Shmuel Funeh, to the elders, to the leadership of the house of Yisrael, the men and the women, the daughters and the sons. I greet you, Shabbat Shalom Aleichem. Please be seated. So, this afternoon, we're going to resume our question and answer period. And especially as Chag Matzot and Pesach are coming up. And for all intents and purposes, I need for you to think about those two things as separate issues, Pesach and Chag Matzot. I know on your calendars that you get from your local grocer or whatever, they say Passover the first day, Passover the second day, third day, all the way to they have an eighth day. But that is not the way the law of it works. So Pesach and Chag Matzot, although for a little period of time they run concurrently, is two issues. We'll talk about that at another time. So we're going to start our question and answer period to see what questions that are on the minds of the family and the hearts of the people, praying that we will be able to answer accordingly and give people answers that they can live by. Can I get the first question off the...
What is recommended to feed pets during the upcoming feast? Most dog foods have grains.
Yes. So in the upcoming feast, I'm just going to tell you what we did, because we couldn't go out and buy those dog foods because most of them have leavening in it. You're going to bring it in your house, you're going to deal with it for the 7 days, so it didn't work. So my mother just cooked for my dog for 7 days. And what did she cook? Whatever's left over that got thrown in a pot, that got put outside for the dog. And so you have to be scrutinized what goes in that leftover, because why? In that pot for the dog, you can't give dogs every leftover, because dogs can't have chocolate and dogs can't have sweet stuff, and they're not supposed to have those things. So you have to be discriminate. They can get the rice, not the rice, because we ain't eating that, right? They can get the potatoes, they can get the leftover chicken, they can get the bones. You know what I mean? You can make them up food, and just to give it somebody, you know what else you can do with it then? Crush up some matzah in it and give it to them with the meat and the other stuff. Just crush up some matzah and give it to them, and they'll eat it. All right? That we make dogs picky. You think dogs care about Alpo or kennel ration? Dogs eat. That's why they're dogs. So what you eat, you can feed them, except for the sweet stuff. I know dogs shouldn't have chocolate, and I know dogs shouldn't have sugar. Other than that, your potatoes, your starches, and all those things. And with all of the things they say dogs can't have, ask them dogs in the street what they eat. But let's go. What's the next one, son?
Do leavened items have to be completely out of the house? Can you put it in the basement?
The law says that they should not be in your dwelling, and you should remove them from your sight. Like if you have a basement with storage rooms and things, and you can secure your things in there like as if it was a barn, and you can secure it and you're not going in there, and that's your thing, then we can I think we can live with that. And this is my opinion. There'll be some congregations that will tell you, absolutely not. You got to get everything out of your house. You got to throw everything away. You got to do this. I recognize that a lot, in many cases, that that's not what our pockets can afford, right? And so in ancient days, we didn't throw out the whole set of stuff. We had storehouses and barns and things that we put stuff in, right? We know that. So in that same frame, if you have the preference would be to get it out of your house. If you have a garage, if you have a car that's sitting outside that you're not using, and that you can put it in the trunk or whatever, you can do things like that to get it out of your house. If you live in an apartment and you have no space, you can designate a closet that you're going to keep sealed and so forth and so on, that you're not going to access, because the law says you should not even look on these things during the time of the holy season. So I hope that and I pray that I'm not giving you any erroneous information. These are things that have been done since I'm in law. And like I said, there's some people that will tell you that you can't have a barn, you can't have it. But you recognize that these things in our history, as we gathered up stuff, we didn't throw out the whole crop because it was Passover. You understand? We stored things. We kept it out of our view, because that's what God said. So that's what I'm gonna tell you. In these days and times, if you have a storage space in your basement you can seal off for 7 days that you don't have to access, great. If you have an outsourced storage space that you don't have to access, great. If you are in a position, now I want to also tell you this, folk. A month ago, I told you all that this is what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to begin to cook the food out of your house, so you don't have things to store up for Passover. So maybe you didn't get to do it this year. So next year, I want you to plan. A month before Passover, you start needing to take inventory of the food that you have in your house and start cooking that food, the things that are going to be not right for Kag Matzot. You should start cooking those, dealing with that, so that in that month's time, you clear your refrigerator, you clear your cupboards, you clear those things, so that you don't have things that you need to store and put away and figure out how to hide for the Passover. So next year, that's a goal, right? For those that didn't get to do it this year. That's a goal. Start clearing out your refrigerator. How many of you have already started taking the things out your freezer, seeing what it is that you put in the freezer 6 months ago that you forgot? Did you open it up, see what it is, see whether or not you can eat it now so that you can get rid of it? The only thing that should be left in your freezer is meat. If you have any of that. By the time Pesach starts, your cabinet shouldn't have all of the things that you don't eat, because you should have been preparing for this time. But if you have not done that, I pray I've given you the best alternative for storing, putting things away. And let me just tell you, don't try to put away the little remnant bag of flour. You got open packages of stuff. Okay, you want to put it away. That stuff that you've used and stuff already, that it's okay. Now, if you're telling me, my pockets are not like that, okay, all right. But still, you got to make your way to keep this law. That's the whole point. You know what your pockets are. You know how your situation is. Part of this holy day is planning. Right? Planning. How to clean, how to eat, how to get these things done so you don't have these issues. I hope that answered that question. Please, we'll take the next. Next question.
Can we eat salted nuts on Passover?
I'm going to have to defer to your congregation on that. Why? Because some congregations eat legumes during Pesach and Kag Matzot. Some congregations eat legumes. Some congregations eat. Let's get all this together. Some congregations eat legumes. Some congregations eat rice. Some congregations eat pasta, because there are some congregations who interpret this as only bread or something that would rise, like a biscuit, a bread, a cake, etc., etc. Our understanding of the law of Pesach is a little bit more in depth. We look at the word chometz, machmeset, and seor, which means the agent that causes something to rise, the risen product, and the fermented or sour thing. Right? All of those things are included in those three words. Right? So I want you all to understand that some people don't consider a rice and a bean and so forth and so on as chometz. In this congregation, so I'm going to tell you what we do here. In this congregation, we do not eat rice, beans, pasta, any of it. And I'm going to tell you simply why. There's a lot of controversy about it. What was that thing that Daniel was talking about, pulse, in the book of Daniel? Some people say it was beans. Some people say it was not. We don't know. There are lots of things that are unknown. So I told you how it came about when we gathered as congregations, and it was more than one congregation gathered. The leadership just asked, what don't you eat? What don't you eat? And since then, we haven't eaten any of that. Why? So that when people come into the house, everybody can feel free to eat what we're going to prepare for the holy season and what they bring in to share, etc., etc. I told you I'm not going to tell you all of the things that you should not eat, because that list is too long. I'm going to give you the list of the things that you can eat. Fresh meat, fresh vegetables. In our case, that's not a legume. Snow peas, nuts, all those kind of things, the pod things. We don't eat those here in this congregation. So, like I said, meat, fresh vegetables, potatoes, eggs, matzahs, water, lemonade, tea. If you're going to get a preserve, make sure it doesn't have cornstarch and corn syrups and all of that stuff in it. And it's only because of the regulation that happened in Joshua 5 that they only eat parched corn, that we don't eat the oils and the things from the corn during Chag Matzah. Are you asking? I know there's going to be all these questions as to why, so I'm just trying to fill in the blanks before someone has to take their time to type in the question. So we don't eat corn, and we don't eat any of those things that are set aside for the rest of the year. We eat meat, potatoes, vegetables, matzah, water, lemonade, butter, some eggs. I think that's about it. And some, preserves. If you don't, and listen, preserves are not that hard to make. Let me just help you. You can make strawberry preserves easy. Get yourself some strawberries, put them in a thick bottom pot, crush them down a little bit so you get a little bit of the juice, put them on the lowest flame possible, and add sugar to your taste and let it cook down. Once it cooks down, you can put it in a jar and you have preserves with nothing in it but the fruit and some sugar. You'll need to keep it in the refrigerator or it'll go bad because it doesn't have manate and shishtabapadipadate in it. Right? So it's simple stuff. This is a simple time based on freshness, based on remembering what the holy day is supposed to initiate in your mind. We were having a discussion with the young people a little earlier, and they were saying, well, if I take this and I mix it with the egg and I and I beat it up, and it comes out, and that would be almost like a pancake, but don't have nothing in it that's a. Listen, hear me when I tell you. Anything that you dream up in your mind to try to circumvent not having leaven is wrong. The idea of the holy day is for you not to have anything that in any wise simulates, produces leaven. It is supposed to be a time, the 7 days are supposed to make you think. Or while you sit around now and consider how you don't have to take this out your diet and that out your diet and that out your diet, Passover doesn't become anything but an issue for you about what you can eat. Passover is supposed to be a time, Chag Matzot is supposed to be a time for us to think and to contemplate how God came in and redeemed us and saved us and told us we didn't have time for the bread to rise. Told us that we would, matter of fact, he called it what? Lechem oni, poor bread, bread of affliction. I listen to people, oh, we can jazz this up. We can listen, on Pesach night, in here, it'll be a very plain menu. Why? Because it's not that time. This is about our season of freedom. Everything that we eat on the Pesach is supposed to be a part of the remembrance of what it took for God as he delivered us. You know what they call Pesach in the Torah? They call it Leil Shimurim. It's a night of watching. It's a night of contemplation and thought, not about stuff in your gullet. That lamb, that matzah, that bitter herb, those items that God told you to eat are specific to cause you to remember what was going on. You taking those 7 days, separating yourself from all of those things that rise, ferment, this, that, causes you to remember. If you keep your plate the same and just take off a matzah, just take off bread, what's the difference that you had all 7 days? Because you ate matzah, you eat crackers all year. Some of you eat pita bread and what's them things called the wraps that you had. What is it that you're doing different? Why don't you understand? The whole idea is to make this time different. I hope that is understandable. Please go on, sir.
Please expound on Psalms 22, chapter 22, verse 29 to 31. Torah.
Let's start at 23. No, Psalms 22, verse 23. I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the congregation will I praise thee. Ye that fear the eternal, praise him. All ye seed of Yaakov, glorify him and stand in awe of him, all ye seed of Yisrael. For he hath not despised nor abhorred the lowliness of the poor, neither hath he hid his face from him. But when he cried unto him, he heard. From thee cometh my praise in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. Let the humble eat and be satisfied. Let them praise the Lord that seek after him. May your heart be quickened forever. All the ends of the earth shall remember and turn unto the eternal, and all the kindreds of the nations shall worship before thee. For the kingdom is the eternal's, and he is the ruler over the nations. All the fat ones of the earth shall eat and worship, and they that go down to the dust shall kneel before him, even he that cannot keep his soul alive. What God is saying is that everything belongs to God, even the rich, powerful ones, the ones who think they the fat ones of the earth. Everybody's going to get down and worship and bow down. Everyone that you, or even all of you who think you so rich and powerful, but guess what you can't do? You can't keep yourself alive. That's what the psalmist is saying here. He said, even he that cannot keep his soul alive, a seed shall serve him and shall be told of the Lord unto the next generation. They shall come and shall declare his righteousness unto a people that shall be born, that he hath done it. It said so that this people is going to come up and watch and see how all the people in the earth who think that they got so much and they got so powerful. Look at them. You know them. You see them on TV right now. Y'all see them? The Jeffrey Epsteins, to this guy over there, the Prince, to this one, to this one. God said, listen, all of you think you fat on the earth, you too will be on your knees. This is what the psalmist is saying, because all the gratitude goes to God. It has nothing to do with how powerful you are, how rich you are. None of that is important. Don't get me wrong. Money is a good thing. If held in righteousness, money is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that we shouldn't have money. I like money. I do. I've been around a few people that got some too. I even know how that feel. That was a pretty good feeling. So money is not evil. It's the people who deal with money that's evil. Right? Because some people got money and they don't do evil stuff with it. So it's not the money. What we're talking about is the people who have the idea that they're so great and so powerful and so this and so that they can't be brought down. God said, no. You too will be on your knees. Next question.
Aside from blood and the specific fat in clean animals, is there any other part of them we are commanded not to eat?
Okay. Commanded not to eat? No. We are commanded not to eat the fat. We are commanded not, and it is particular types of fat. I know everybody thinks it's just that you can't eat meat without having some fat. The actual stuff that holds the strands of meat together is fat. I mean, just so that you understand that. So the fat that God is talking about is that hard fat, that what we call a tallow, right? You can't eat that. Nor can you eat the blood. Now, there's no other part of the animal that God said we can't eat. However, I remember Don Mori Michel Alav Shalom stood and said, listen, let's just use some common sense here. If God said don't eat the blood, what you want to eat the blood cleaner for? You understand? If God said, you talk about that liver, that thing that cleans the blood, it's a filter. I know we ate it and people grew up on it and it's full of protein, but we ate it because it was cheap. Right? Now you got fancy people eating sick goose livers. Y'all know foie gras is goose liver from sick geese. Deliberately done. They take the geese and they force feed them until their liver gets engorged and inflamed, and then they kill it and eat the inflamed thing and say, pete de foie gras, pete de nasty. It's a diseased organ. Just think about it. Just think about it. God gave us rules to eat and be clean, and I think the Maftir was talking about it earlier. You know, God tell you don't eat these things. I keep telling you, God is not sitting around looking, oh, you eat that, let me go get him. I ain't gotta get you. You eating the stuff that he told you was gonna kill you. Right? You gonna get you. While you eating the stuff talking about, well, the Lord, and for all of you, I told you, for all of you Israelites who think that, and Israelites, I always say this with the Israelites, the Jews, the Hebrews, I don't care what color you are. You say you observe the law of God. Let me just tell you, these things that we have in our mind, can we eat? And this whole big business is about this. And I realized that, I'm about to say something that's very unpopular. But, y'all know me already, right? Why do we want to eat something that imitates things that God told you not to eat? Tell me why. If God says to you, listen, we just read it a few weeks ago. Talk about the shrimp, the this, the this. It says, and ye shall hold it, what? In detestation. So you make fake shrimp. Because it's not real shrimp. It's scrawled or cod or whatever, Pollock. And you paint it up so it looked like the shrimp and everything. You go in the store and the Bacos, these are fake bacon bits with the big kosher sign on it. That makes sense to you? While the Creator's trying to give you an understanding of how to elevate your life, you're still trying to figure out how to eat the crap that he told you not to eat. Why did you say that, Rabbi? Because I need for you to understand it's the same concept with Passover. It's the same concept. You go in these stores, you can find everything you want. They change some names. They don't call it vinegar. It's acetic acid. It's still vinegar. I don't care if they heated it up to a point where it stopped being fermentable. It's already fermented. God said the fermentation and the thing, that's not what we're supposed to have during Chag Matzot. You can go into the kosher stores and find kosher for Passover cake. You can go in the thing and find kosher for Passover pancake batter mix. What? What are you doing? The whole idea is for those 7 days to permeate your mind and for you to remember what your fathers had to go through and remember what God, if your plate is full of everything that you always eat and you ain't changed nothing, then what? Because you ate a cracker? Stop. Stop. This is where God told us a long time ago, right? Remember this thing. I told y'all, your rabbi doesn't quote scriptures, the verse, the chapter and verse too much, right? But this one I do all the time. Deuteronomy 28:47. Because you didn't serve me with joy and with gladness for the want of all things. If Passover is a burden to you, you got the wrong idea. If you're trying to figure out how these things, oh my God, I can't stand. I listen to people, I hate matzah. It's disgusting. I follow the law. I crack me a little piece off. Why? A half of matzah will last me for the 7 days. Really? Really? Your mind doesn't, every time you eat that matzah, your brain doesn't say, thank you, Father. You brought us out. You redeemed us with an outstretched and mighty arm. How many of our fathers and mothers who were in their 90s in the time when Moses come thought their life was going to end right there in Egypt? And thought that God had forsaken them. Then he showed up. Don't forget what the story was about. We lived in derision for hundreds of years. They sentenced our sons to death. They beat us. And like the great and mighty God that He is, He came and redeemed us, set us free. In them 10 plagues, do you know how many things died that we could live? You think about the death of the firstborn. There was death going on from the time God walked into the midst. What do you think happened when He turned the river to blood? Things died. Well, they were only frogs. They were frogs to you. Do you see how God tells us to deal with animals? You can't deal with them wickedly. You can't take the mother and the dam. You can't be abusive to animals according to the will of God because they too belong to Him. You don't understand that from the time He came to rescue us, death was the calling card. Death to everyone but us. And Passover comes. All of the firstborn of the Egyptians, from the firstborn of Pharaoh to the keeper of the mill, the animals, you redeem your sons because God killed the firstborn of Egypt. This is not a time to be focused on how can I continue to stuff my face. It's a time for humility and thanks. Eat that bread of affliction. Remember and know. No frivolous time in your life. We got to do it better. It can't be a burden to you or you violated it. You hear me? You can violate your Shabbat. You can violate your holy season by it simply being a burden to you. You think when you get up in the morning on Shabbat and you begrudge God, I don't feel like it. I just want to. You think God is accepting your Shabbat? Oh. Here, I'm here to tell you, because I know y'all don't want to hear this. But it's all right, because it's me. And y'all know I don't mind. I'm telling you that you can't come into the Shabbat and the holy days and they be a burden, and then you expect God to bless you in the same. Shabbat is supposed to be a day that you're like, whoa, Shabbat's here. Hallelujah. That's what Shabbat is supposed to be about. That's what the holy seasons are supposed to be about. You being in full joy and gladness, serving the living God. Not trying to figure out how to make it easier for you. Or how to figure out how not to disrupt your flow. Your flow is supposed to be disrupted. I know y'all don't want to hear that. But it's all right. Let's go. Next question.
I have a question.
Yes, man.
Is seltzer like sparkling water kosher for Passover?
Well, I'm going to tell you, there it's weird and tricky. Um, if you were at a natural carbonated spring, I probably would tell you you're good. But if you tell me you're going to carbonate the water, I'm going to tell you don't have it. Now, there are not very many carbonated springs, and nobody bottles that water. All of the things that you got, even Perrier, it's carbonated, which means there's a process that they do in order to get that water to be carbonated, and that's not what we need to have. You can drink regular water for 7 days. Beautiful thing. If you drink water, if you drink, and I need to tell y'all to be careful with water too. Listen to me. Don't go into the store and buy water and you're not paying attention that you're getting natural spring water. Because you go into the store and you buy some of that Nestle water or the Pure or the Dasani, which other one of them? All these cinches, all these people that listen. Listen. If you look at it, all of those waters have sodium bicarbonate, and the ones that they say they purify, they don't tell you how they purify it. And it's not always through charcoal. So some of that stuff is purified and made to taste good with things you should not be having during Chag Matzot, and you just say, but it's water. Spring water. Even faucet water. They have fluoride and chlorine in it. Not necessarily the best things in the world for you, but at least they're not something that's going to be a leavening agent. Yeah, you can get a water filter and you can take all that stuff out of it. Next question, if there be one.
Shalom, Rabbi. Hydrogen peroxide. Can we keep it in our medicine cabinet in case of emergencies?
Well, I know that the properties of hydrogen peroxide could possibly cause something to rise, but it would also be poison, right? But I always take it out of my closet because I know it can do that by its chemical composition. So I do take it. I take peroxide out of my closet, and why? Because there are other things that you can use to get yourself together, like water and soap, right? And if it goes beyond that, you can take a little cayenne pepper, mix it with a little Vaseline, and put it on whatever cut you want. It'll ouch for a second, but it'll heal nice. That cayenne pepper is the truth. It'll heal you nice, right? And it will keep it clean, right? What I tell people is, if you want an antiseptic antibiotic like that, get you some golden seal ahead of time and boil it and keep it on the side. You can wash anything with it, and it is itself an antibiotic and an antiseptic. Next.
So, can we eat rice or peas, beans during Passover?
Okay. Again, like I said, in this congregation, we do not eat any of that. In some congregations, they have, they do, and so I'm going to tell you, If you follow what we do, no, we do not eat that during these 7 days. If you are a member of another congregation, please see your leadership for what it is that the customs are at that house. Next question. 13 more questions? Okay, let's go. Come on, let's go. Y'all put me on a timer.
Shalom. Which days should we request off from work for Passover?
Okay, that depends on what time of day you work. The 22nd at evening is the Passover. So the 22nd at evening and all day the 23rd is the holy day, right? So then, so the eve of the 28th, wait a minute, let me see this together. No, the eve, is it the eve of the 28th is it over, or is it the eve of the 27th? I have to see. Right. So Monday evening starts it, and Sunday evening begins to close it. So Tuesday is the first full day, and Monday is the last day. On your calendar, you will see something called Passover, the 8th day. That does not exist in Torah. Okay? Does not exist in Torah. It is a custom of certain groups of practitioners of Torah, but that is not, that's their customs. That's not a law of God. Let's go.
Shalom, Rabbi. What about the medicine that you take daily?
You should inquire about your medicine as to what's in it, but I'm going to tell you this. If you are on a life-saving medication, I want you to take your medication. I am not going to sit here and tell you don't take medication that's supposed to save your life, because I didn't give you this condition or the disease, and God knows what he is doing with that. And I'm not going to be the one to tell you, well, just don't take it for 7 days and see what happens. Because part of trusting in the Lord is trusting the things that he puts in your path in order to make you well, right? That's part of also trusting in the Lord, right? Because the doctor doesn't really heal you, God does. And if you are on a situation where this medicine that you take could cause you an adverse reaction, and now what's going to happen when you wind up in the hospital, and now they're going to feed you stuff that you ain't supposed to have, they're going to get it. So I'm telling you, if you're on life-saving medication, what you can do, just like I did with my pharmacy, is I went and asked, what's in this? What's this? They gave me a thing, and then he told me, well, if I give you this one, it's going to have this in it. But if I give you the Maxide, which is the same medication, but they process it different, it won't have sodium bicarbonate in it. So I said, I'll take that one. Thank you very kindly. See, so you can go to your pharmacy and ask them what's in the medication, see what it is. If it's a life-saving medication, yes. If it's not a life-saving medication, leave it alone for 7 days. If it's not a life-saving medication, what am I talking about? You take medication to grow your hair. You don't need that one for 7 days, right? But if you got a medication that's keeping your pressure, you got a medication that's keeping your functionality, you take your medication. Next.
Is there any ingredients we should avoid in skincare during Chag Matzot?
Anything that has a calcium carbonate or this carbonate or any type of carbonate, any type of because they have sodium bicarbonate, calcium bicarbonate, they have all these different things that they put in stuff. You need to be able to read the ingredients, and most makeup doesn't come with ingredients. It might be a good thing for 7 days to wash your face and put on some Vaseline. Try it. I know the black folks is looking at me, oh no, we need Nivea and we need this. Black folks been wearing Vaseline for centuries and it worked. It worked. Olive oil is a beautiful thing. Shea, now the family's sending the shea butter over. Get it. But all that other stuff, you can moisturize your face with the shea butter. You can moisturize your face with the cocoa butter. Listen, listen, um, listen. There's lots of stuff we can do without risking the issue of what may be in the makeup. Being that you're talking about makeup, did you check your makeup in the first place to see if it had things that not clean for Passover, just not clean, period? Do you know most makeup is made up of indiscriminate fat? They go to different meat packing things and just take all the fat, they don't care what it is, and they break it down and they make your lipstick and your eyeshadows and all this other stuff, and you put this stuff all on your face. So I'm just saying, you should check all your makeup, period, to see if you should be wearing it on any day, let alone Chag Matzah. Next question.
One of your nieces want to know if they can have chocolate during Chag Matzah.
Well, Hakon Hagadol Alav Shalom said, we're not having any of it. The cocoa bean, the coffee bean, we're not having none of it. It's 7 days, family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See? אחד, שניים, שלוש, ארבע, חמישה, שבע, שבע. Give me. I could probably count in a few other languages. Eats meat, sun, chi. I mean, like what I'm trying to tell you is that it's only 7 days. You will not fall apart if you don't eat. Whatever it is that you're about to ask me, you will not fall apart if you don't get to eat that thing for 7 days. Just thought I would tell you. Any other questions? The mic is over there, family. Please remember that. Go ahead.
How about ketchup, jam, cheese, yogurt?
Say that again.
Besides the jam, unless the jam is made by methods that are kosher for Passover, all those other things are not kosher for Passover. Ketchup contains acetic acid, which we know is vinegar. Cheese is a fermented product, and yogurt also contains.
It's a fermented product.
Fermented product.
Yogurt is spoiled milk. I know y'all don't want to hear that because you like your yogurt. But yogurt is spoiled milk.
Can we have frozen meat in my freezer on Passover?
Sure, if it was frozen and it's not contaminated with nothing else, it's frozen meat. It's after you unfreeze it is when it becomes a problem, when things start to happen with it, right? So you good with the frozen meat. Next question.
Are giraffes kosher?
Say it again?
Are giraffes kosher?
I believe they are, actually. I believe they are. If I'm remembering I know they have the cloven foot. Oh, yeah. I've often thought about the neck steaks that I'd get from a giraffe. They would be delicious. Oh, they would be absolutely delicious. And you know, they'd be gamey like a deer or something. You would have to know how to take care of it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You know, we think about things that we can eat based on the cultures that we come from, right? It's about the cultures that you come from. Because like I told you, most of the Israelites and the Jews and the Hebrews won't stick up their nose at a shrimp, but you'll stick up your nose at a grasshopper. You might not eat the shrimp, but it won't seem like a nasty thing to you. But that grasshopper, you'll be like, but he's clean. Thus saith the Lord. I know we know better than the Lord, but thus saith the Lord. Y'all know I was being facetious. I hope you got that. Let's go.
Can we have predator meat on Passover?
Can we have what?
Predator meat on Passover, such as lions, tigers, bears, wolves, and etc.
Can you have that any other time? Family, listen to me. Listen to me. I hope that was one of our babies asking that question. Oh, okay. Baby, we can't have any of that stuff. We can't have that stuff during the regular time, let alone Passover. Okay. I feel better that was one of our babies. Because Rabbi Eyebrow went up for a second.
Are soft homemade matzah allowed?
Our
Soft homemade matzah allowed?
yes, homemade matzah. This is what the Eternal told you about matzah. Matzah is, by definition, fine flour mingled with oil. It doesn't even tell you about water, right? It tells you about fine flour mingled with oil. Now, I'm quite sure they put a little water to pull all this up, but they're telling you the ingredients. And what I'm telling you is that if you take fine flour, like the matzahs you get from the store in the box, they don't have no oil in them. They're flour and water. Okay, that's why they're crunchy. But the law of God said a matzah has fine flour mingled with oil. When you do that and you add a little water and you put it in the oven or in the pan, you're going to get a softer matzah. Let me just tell you this. Second thing, you got to be careful about this homemade matzah thing too. I know everybody's want to do it, but don't be frivolous about it, because you can go against God while you trying to talk about. Because I hear people, I don't want them. I want the ones I make at home. Well, then you need to be prepared to know what you need to do. First thing, you cannot go out and buy flour in the store and think that's okay, because most of the flour you get is malted, which means it's already been fermented. What do I mean by malted? They take the grains, they put them in water, they let them begin to germinate, then they drain the water, they dry it, and then they crush it, because then the flour is finer and softer. So that flour already, the brand new bag of flour that you got in your house, is unclean for Passover. But if you get pure stone ground flour with nothing in it, that has not been fermented, that goes from the dry kernel to the flour, and then you take that and you mix it with your oil and water and you make your matzah, you are able to do that. But now let me tell you something else. Yeast is not something that you necessarily have to add to bread. Yeast is in the air. So if you mix water and flour and let it sit, it will get yeast in it and rise. So the issue is that when you're making homemade matzah, there's three things that you have to do. You have to start with the right type of flour. You have to know that the moment you add water to that flour, the timer begins. That means that you can't make vats of matzahs like this, because there's no way you're going to do that in 15 minutes. Because you got to knead it, roll it out, either put it in the pan or put it in the oven and to cook, and you have to be able to get it to the heat within 15 minutes. And that means the bowl that you had the stuff in, after you dump it out and you doing it and you working and you going, well, this is good, that bowl is getting yeast in it. So you have to be able to clean the bowl and make all of the matzahs within 15 minutes. Nothing that touched that flour and water can remain just sitting around, because it's going to become leavened. And if you can't do that, then don't do it. Go buy your matzah. If you're not set up in your house to work this thing so that you can, right, or if you want, make one. Put it in while it's in the pan. Clean the bowl. Put you 3 spoons of flour in the bowl. Mix it with a half teaspoon of oil and make your matzah. 1. If you want that kind of matzah. But don't sit there and decide, I got to make dinner for my 7 kids, and now you sitting up there making matzah that your matzah is 20 minutes old. Because now you got a bowl of leavening. Oh, by the way, you can't put it in the garbage because it's going to become leaven in the garbage too. So when you clean your bowl, you got to wash it and get it in the sink and let that thing take it away. You can't scrape the stuff out the bowl into the garbage because you just scraped the leaven in the garbage. By the way, during Chag Matzot, you need to be putting out your garbage often. Like a couple of times in a day. Why? Because your apple peels and your things that you peel. You ever peel an apple and let it sit there, turn brown? You know what that is? Fermentation. So the stuff that you put in the garbage that can ferment needs to come out of your house. See, it's a serious time. Serious time. Next question.
If the new moon is the first day of the month, shouldn't it also be the first day of the week?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that question. What did they say? If what?
If the new moon is the first day of the month, shouldn't it also be the first day of the week?
No. Absolutely not. Nunca, never, yet, no. Lo. Whichever language you want to put it in. Before God named a month, he made days. Right? Before God named a month, time, he made days. He said he made the first day and it was good, and second day and the third day, and then he came to this thing called Shabbat, and he said that was the 7th day, and he hollowed it. What comes after the 7th day? First day. Starts over again. The moon is not contingent on what day of the week it is. And I know this has been, one of those things that have begin to take root. I need for you to know there's nothing in Torah that supports that. Not one blessed thing. We have 7 days in the week. We already know it doesn't change. Why? How do you know it doesn't change? How do you know it doesn't change? Come on, work with me. Because when the new moon comes in on the 14th day of the month, you don't know what date that is going to be on until it arrives. You get me what I'm saying? New moon has nothing to do with what day of the week it is. Hope that's clear. Next question.
When a woman gives birth, is she in a state of purification for a total of 33/66 days, or said days in addition to the 7?
Son, I'm not understanding the question. Y'all have to read
When
the
a
question.
woman gives birth, is she in a state of purification for a total of 33/66 days, or said days in addition to the 7 and 14 days? Gaveret, to answer your question, it's the said days in addition to the 7 and 14. If you're having a male child, you're 7 days unclean, and then you'll wait your 33 days. That's your complete 40 days. If you have a girl, you will wait your 2 weeks or 14 days and then complete your 66. That would be 80 altogether. So you wouldn't be able to come to the temple for those 40 or those 80 days.
That's why I got them. Hallelujah. Next question.
Can you speak on Exodus chapter 13, verses 4 through 10?
Let's go to the videotape. Exodus 13. What verses?
this day came ye out in the month of Adath, and shall eat with the Lord, shall bring you into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, in which he swore unto thy fathers to give thee a land flowing with milk and honey, that thou shalt keep this Sabbath in this month. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast unto the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall be no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen in all thy quarters. And thou shalt shew thy son this day, saying, This is done because of which Jehovah did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign upon thee, upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath Jehovah brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his season from year to year.
Okay. So listen to what it said. What verses did they ask us to focus on? Thing? 4 to 10. Okay, so we started at 3, right? So first thing that the 4th verse tells you is that the month name is Abib, not Nisan. That's the first thing it does. And so the Most High is now telling them, when you get into the land of the that I swore to you, right, that you will keep this service in its month. You have to remember that at this point in Exodus, we were supposed to be what? At this point in Exodus, we were only 11 days from where we were supposed to go. Yes? We were 3 days' journey from Sinai, and then another week's journey home. Yes? At this point, we were not scheduled to be in the wilderness for 40 years. We were scheduled to get the law, get the thing, go into the land, and keep the service in the land. However, our stiff-necked ways, our cowardly ways, left us in the wilderness for 40 years. And so we did the Passover in the wilderness, as opposed to, as this said, when we got into the land to do it to keep this service. But here's what else it tells you. It tells you unleavened bread shall be eaten throughout the 7 days. There shall no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy borders. I want you to know that it says in here in the translation leavened bread, but if you look this thing up, you're going to see these 3 words, chometz, machmeset, and seor, all in the same sentence, or in the same paragraph, I should say. It says, and thou shalt tell thy son in that day, it is because of which the Lord did when I came forth out of Egypt. So in other words, this is not a time that you figure out how not to have that conversation. This is a time where everything in your life for these 7 days is supposed to change in order to focus your mind. So when your children say, why are we doing this? If nothing changes on your child's plate, if nothing changes in your child's functionality, they're not asking you this. The whole idea is for them to come and ask you, why are we doing this? And then you're supposed to tell them. Right? And then the last thing I wanted you to see, it says, and you shall keep it in its season. Because I know people, I heard that there was people who did Passover last month or earlier this month because the Torah didn't tell nobody to add an extra month. Yes, it did. Right here. And you shall keep it in its season. Aviv, by definition, means spring. By definition, that's what the word I mean. It has a couple of meanings. It means new grain. It also means spring. So now, so if we followed the calendar without the interruption or the insertion of an Adar Sheni every so often, we would be like our brothers, the Muslims who observe Ramadan, and Ramadan travels throughout the year. So because they are a pure lunar society. But God told us to keep it in this season. So if we only followed the moon and didn't consider the sun in the process, we would wind up having Aviv in the winter. About every 12 years, we wind up with Aviv in the winter. And what grain is going to come up? How are you going to keep the rest of the law? See? God said, keep it in its season. You all, please, family, stop trying to think because you didn't see a line or you saw a little line here. Do you know how much stuff is left out of this book? Hold on. I want you to see this now. I'm at this book starts at page 3. And when Deuteronomy ends, I'm on page 170. That's the whole Torah right here. That's written down. From page 3 to page 170, that means there's 167 pages. You don't get a good novel on 167 pages. What am I telling you? You have to stop trying to think that because you didn't find the exact words that you wanted to find in the Tanakh to say that that's what it was, that you can't put together and connect the fact that God told you to keep it in a season called the name of the month spring, that you don't understand that this is a springtime event that has to happen. Why? Because when we went into the land, the sheaf had to be waved and so forth and so on in order to make these things happen. So you can't be talking about that it's not kept in a season. And I want to remind you that that Passover that we kept was 40 years later. Kept in the spring. Let's go. Let's go.
Should we avoid having our nails done if we wear acrylic nails with gel polish?
I have no idea what's in that stuff. And guess what? It's 7 days, ladies. If you have any doubt about it, it's 7 days. I mean, I don't know what's in this stuff. I'm not being funny. I don't. So I can't tell you that is against the law. But if your mind is asking you, well, should I put the acrylic on my hand when we do that? And then 7 days. Daughter, I see you raising your hand. Would you like to come to the mic? No, you have to come to the mic. This is not a question. No, you have to come to the mic because nobody can hear you.
The curious question is, if you already have the nails on before the Passover or the Chag Matzah, is it okay?
And I'm saying to you, if your brain says, I don't know what's in this and this makes me uncomfortable for Passover, Passover's not till the 22nd. That's why they made remover. Come on, family. I mean, again, this is about the love of God. I remember, y'all know I tell on myself often, and I do it because I want to help somebody. In them dark days when Newport 100s was my friend. It was my friend. I mean, if you know, we was buddies. And I never forget the first time my priest said to me, how come I said, because he said, you know what we're going to do? We ain't smoking nothing during these 7 days. We don't know what's in that stuff. Well, what's in the cigarette that can make something right? He said, I don't know. We ain't going to have, we just do that. Okay. And for them 7 days, me and my friend, we was estranged. And until I quit her, Lord have mercy, that was some rough 7 days. But the point is, the thought happened in the man's mind that said, maybe there's something in this that's not right. We're going to put this down. And you being my minister, you're going to put it down too. Yes. Because cigarette, God, I need a bean. I need a rice. I need that for 7 days. I'm gonna lose my mind if I don't have pancakes. I'm gonna fall off the cliff if I don't have ice cream. Chips. You gotta have chips, Rabbi. Well, if you want chips, let me help you. Get you a pot. Get you some canola, cottonseed, grapeseed, olive. Get that oil, put it in a pot, peel your potato, and then take the same potato peeler and slice the potato. And it'll be paper thin. And when you put that thing down in that grease, my children love potato chips on cock matzo because I make good potato chips. So you can make these things. And guess what it don't have on it? Not nary a thing that I can't eat. That's all I'm saying. And potato chips, and let me be clear, potato chips is not something that puts you in the mind of something that's rising or going through things. So don't say, well, you don't have, because if you ask me, I don't have to have none of it. Because you know what my mother used to tell the congregation? Every year when they would start this conversation, my imam would stand up and go, what if he told you you could only have matzah and water for 7 days? What would you do then? And everybody looked. She said, now say thank you and be quiet. Right? 7 days, family. Don't make this complicated. Let's go.
What about the distilled water?
Distilled water is different. Distilled water is regular water that they boil to clean. That's different than purified or other water. But if you buy that bottled distilled water, please check it, because in those cases, many of those cases, they put sodium bicarbonate and other things in there to enhance the taste. Let's go.
Are there particular pots that we have to use for Passover?
You can't use anything that's porous. So don't get crockery things, cast iron things. They all are porous. You need to get stainless steel things for you to cook in. Yes, it's not unkosher for Passover for you to cook in the aluminum things, but if you can avoid aluminum, do that too, because it's not necessarily good for you. I'm just talking about aluminum is just not a very good thing to ingest. So be careful. Now I know with the aluminum, they coat it in such a way, they make it, when I say coat it, they fire it and they kiln it in such a way that it's not supposed to give off that stuff, but overexposure to it can cause a problem. So glass thing is good. Glass stuff is good. Glass cookware is good. Steel cookware is good. Copper cookware is good. Any of the metals. Listen, anything you don't take care of can. Oh, the copper's bad for you too? I didn't know that. Oh, underneath it there's aluminum, right? So that's what I'm saying. Stainless steel is your best bet. That's your best bet. Glass, those things. Those things that have wooden handles, you have to be careful because the wood is porous. Although you say, well, I got a stainless steel pot, you got a wooden handle, it can carry things. So you need to get things that don't have porous stuff. For you to cook on. Let's go.
Rabbi, what brand of flour can I use for homemade matzo?
What I would do is tell you to check your health food store and get the stone ground whole wheat. That means they didn't do nothing with it, but take the kernels and grind them. Or you can go online, because they sell it. You can buy Passover flour, right? You can go online and buy Passover flour. You can buy Shmorah flour, as they call it, Shmorah flour, just for you to know. And Shmorah matzahs. What this means is that when the grain was crushed, from the time it was milled into flour, it has been watched and made sure that no liquid has gotten to it. That's why if you go into a store and you want to buy a box of Shmorah matzahs, they want $25 and $30 for the one box, because they have to pay the person who's watching the flour to make sure that no water gets to the flour. That's why they call it Shmorah, from the word shomer, to watch, right? Let's go.
What's wrong with oatmeal? Some say it's good, some say you can't have it for Passover.
Moreh used to teach that if you take the oatmeal and you eat it like cereal and not boil it, like just pour the milk on it and eat it with some salt, with some sugar and some berries and whatever, you can eat that. They frowned upon, all of the elders frowned upon anything that you was going to boil or cook that was going to puff up, that was going to change its consistency because you boiled it. Let me tell you something, family. So the oat itself, and I'm going to say this, the oat itself is not any violation of Passover. Some people don't want to boil it. Some people eat it just like cereal, because that's what Moreh used to suggest to the house when they say, well, what do I give my kids in the morning for cereal? He used to tell you, crush up some matzahs, put them in the milk, eat that with some, or he said, put some oats in a bowl, you pour the milk, put the fruit in it, eat that, that'll work. So those are the contingencies. I will not tell you anything is wrong with the oats. I'm just giving you the clear definition of this is about freshness. This is about nothing fermenting, nothing rising, nothing doing those things. I hope that's clear, and I hope we've done all that we can to answer your questions. I was told that was the last question. May the Most High.
I just wanted to read all of this that Chief Mishnah put in the chat. For those who are asking earlier about the days to take off, if you work first shift, that's 8 to 4 and 9 to 5, you should take off the 23rd and the 29th.
If you work in the evening, you have to take off the 22nd and the 28th.
Yes. And if you work overnight, you will follow the same rules. You will take those off as well. Also, for those who want to make jelly and ketchup, I know Rabbi has gone over those before, but for a lot of those things that contain acetic acid or vinegar or leavening agents, you can replace them with lemon or lime juice for the preparation of such, like jam, jelly, ketchup.
I hope that answered all of your questions, at least till next week when you might have some more. If you still have questions, put them in the chat. They'll catch up with them, and we'll talk about them. We're going to keep doing this until Chag Matzot. As a matter of fact, probably next Shabbat in the afternoon, we'll give a whole Chag Matzot briefing. And we'll try to have a Chag Matzot briefing to make sure everyone's day is in order. I want you to know, for those of you who want to purchase lamb for your homes or for your congregations, the email went out. If you did not receive it, There is a form in the email that you need to fill out if you want to purchase lamb and send it back. If you have not filled out a form, we are not going to be responsible for your request. All of the requests have to be on a form. If it's an electronic form, you can do it right on your phone. It asks you what you want. You want a half, a whole, or a quarter. Also tells you how to make your deposit. And you do that, you send that in, and we will count the lamb that we need to get. Your last day to do that is the 16th, because on the 17th, we are going to Shkita. And once we do that, it's done. So if you want to get lamb for your home or for your congregation, it has been sent out. But if you did not receive it, please let us know at Bakbi Media, and we will send you to your email or to your phone the little quick form. It'll take you about 2 minutes to do, and it's it's a push the button kind of form and submit it. It's no complicated matter, but I need for you to do that so we know how much we are purchasing or how many lamb we will take to the slaughter on the 17th. Hope that is helpful. And for all the members of Bnai Adath, there's also, we're asking for those who are coming to ensure that they fill out the RSVP so we know how much food to have here for you. If you don't do it, let me just be clear. If you do not do that and you do not sign up and you show up, you will be fed last, because we will not know that you are coming. So we're asking everyone who's coming here for the Passover, so that we do not have extra food or leftover food or wasting food. Please send us the information and let us know that you're coming, right? You should do that without. There's one question I'm going. Go ahead.
Should I deal with family that is not in this truth, that don't do Passover, that have unclean diets during Passover?
You shouldn't be at their house. You shouldn't be at no member of your family's house. You shouldn't be going anywhere where you